Hello everyone, it's Christine here, and first our vintage advent calendar with vintage buttons. We are up to number 12 today, so let's pull out Nana's vintage button and have a look at it. So we have got this lovely, let's see if I can catch the light so you can see the design on it, lovely imprinted little flower design with a little decorative border around it, little bits of fur sticking to it. Beautiful glistening blue, and then it's got a reverse of the image on it, so that one's got raised bits here, and then this is got little indentations and this lovely little swirl, so that's an indent on the front and then a raised on the back. So that's a bit of fun, bit of interest. So that's number 12. I'll put that to the side. And then we're going to move on to doing a Christmas craft, another lovely decoration for the tree. And what we're going to be working on, which I'll show you sort of what you'd be doing from the start, but I've already started it, is making a beautiful little hanging snowflake and bead. And as you can see, it swings around. And the lovely thing is, because I've put little sequins on, as the sequins and beads catch the light in the middle and also on the little strings, it will look really beautiful, particularly with some sunlight hitting it. Now in Australia, where I am, it's actually very hot at Christmas time, but I thought it might be fun to have a bit of cooling snowflakes. And what I'm using for my snowflakes are dismembered bits of this doily. So this doily just has some lovely small components on it. I always like to look out for different types of doilies. And I picked this one because I thought the little flowers, which have become snowflakes, would be really great just as little individual elements. So what you'll want to do if you've got a doily is you'll want to dismember it. Now this might look like it's still a perfectly intact one, but I've actually just been nibbling away at the sides, and I'm going to nibble away at another side. And you just want to find where the little joining bits are between your doilies and just put some little snipperoos in place. So I'll probably take another 2 off, I think, for now. I'm thinking we'll add 3 to our little snowflake chain. And I'll talk you through the process as though you were doing it from the start. I just wanted to have something to show you. So I've got a spare one there and there. And what I do with them is just get rid of any little trailing bits that aren't needed. And with this particular doily design, it usually has a little bit on the back of some of them, but nope, these ones don't. What I'm meaning is you can see some of them have a little joining thread, so I take that little one off at the back. So I'm just using a strong cotton, and I'm thinking at the end I'll probably run a cotton right up the length as well, again just to further secure them, but I'm also securing them on each of the doily bits as I stitch them. So let me talk you through that when we get to that. Just had to trim the end of the thread to make it easier to thread. So if you were starting out, you'd put a knot in your thread, and then you'd grab one of your doily pieces, and you'd want to pick a piece where it's got a little spine that goes up from it, and that's where I'd pop your needle into it. And then I'd just do a stitch or 2 there, just over, to just make sure your thread is well anchored, and you can even do a further little knot as well, just to make sure that it's going to stay secure. And because there's also the beads, because I'm doing this part way up mine, it's also going to keep it secure. If the thread broke further up, the rest of it should stay intact. So I'm now going to work my way up through that little spoke that comes out from the center to the center. And then I'm going to grab my mixed beads. So these were ones I got from Silk and Stitch, where I got some of the bridal pieces, remnants from. And some of the beads actually came off at the sides of those, but I also got a little bead pack. And so these are beautiful silvery and clear coloured glass beads and sequins. And for the middles, I'm going to use a sequin but it's a mixed selection of beads. But this is the sort of perfect project because you don't want something really regular with little crystals that form icicles. They make all sorts of interesting shapes. So I'm going to put that sequin in, and then I'm going to put a little bead on top to hold it. So thread the bead on, and then I'll take my needle back into my sequin, and the thread will form a little loop around the bead and keep the sequin in place. And if it is sort of just moving at all where you don't want it, you can just do the same process again. And again, good just to put 2 stitches in if you can, just to make sure it's going to stay secure. And I'm just using a thread that kind of matches the doily colour. And so now I'm going to work my way up that next spine that sort of goes, I guess, directly up from here. Just putting some little stitches in. And then I'm going to start the beading process. So I've picked out some beads that will work with my needle over here. Nothing more tedious than watching me struggle with, I think I've actually misplaced my very good beading needles, so these ones aren't exactly beading needles, and some of the beads can be a bit smaller. So I'm just going to thread on a selection of different beads, all in the same colour tone, that silvery glassy colour, but some of them are those more rectangular beads, some other more rounded ones. Wish there was a device that could tell you whether a bead's going to fit on your needle without having to test them. I actually extracted these out ahead of time. I was watching a little YouTube video and thought, oh, I'll get the beads ready that will actually fit on the needle. Make it a bit less tedious. This should be a pretty quick craft, I think, for you. And a great way to use some beads, use some of your lovely vintage doilies, particularly if they've got holes already or they're torn already. You can happily dismember them into parts and have them ready for your slow stitching projects or other craft projects like this. Put a few more on, I think. And then I'll just compare the length. It doesn't have to be exactly the same across all the pieces, but just have it approximately the same. I think that will be fine. So then I will come to the bottom of my next doily, and again I'm going to put an extra stitch or 2 in here to just make sure that little rung is secured. And at this point I just gently pull it tight. You want your beads to still be sort of hanging flat, but you don't want a gap in the thread. So that's about right there. Put one more. Probably a little bit of thread showing there, but that's okay. Just pick that up and put a knot in place. Like that. That's pretty good. And then we're going to make our way up that spine of the doily to the center, and then we'll put a sequin in place and grab a bead on top, and then I'll pop back in up over here. An extra stitch in. Okay, and then we'll make our way up the next spine above it. And then we'll do one more section of beading, I think. And then I guess we can see how it looks, and then we'll probably put one more doily on, and then it's whether we just, yeah, we might do a final section of beading after that as well. That bead doesn't fit. Quite easy when you've got your beads on a surface as well, just to pick them up. I'm keen and happy to be using these yeah, reclaimed beads. Come off beautiful bridal garments. The similar, probably similar beads to what you saw on my beaded bauble, or as others have told me, they're called balls or Christmas balls in other parts of the world. That sounds a bit funny to me, actually. As I say, I love the different terms we all use. I suppose they are balls, but yeah, I've grown up hearing them be called baubles. But even in Australia, we have different terms that are used for different things in different parts. You can kind of tell people where they've come from by the term they use. Like in Australia, we call them bathers. Other people call them togs. Other people call them cozies. So yeah, what you wear swimming has many different terms. Do you have sort of local differences in where you live? I've been thinking about next year and having our little community, stitch-along community, now that we've finished the Dictionary of Stitches, how we might still get together. So I've got some ideas. I need to do a bit of investigating, but I've got a fun plan in mind. There we go. I think that section's long enough, so I'll pop in at the bottom of this one, and again we'll do an extra knot. Another stitch or two, do another little knotty stitch, and then we will pop up. And so I don't keep you too long, let's just have a look at the length of thread. Do we think we want to do another section of beading, or are we happy? I think I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think that's a nice length. I mean, you could do them whatever length, but we've got 1, 2, 3. It's got an odd number, which I always like to have for my things, and it would even be beautiful like this as well. But yeah, just love the effect of them as they spin around and as they catch the colours. Although I do need to put a sequin on this one. I almost forgot to do that, so let's quickly do that, and then we will call it done. Got these nice big sequins that have metal on the back of them, almost like little baubles. And we need a bead and a bauble. Ouch, and I just stabbed myself. It was going to happen, wasn't it, at some point? At some point tonight we were going to stab ourselves. When you least expect it, when you think you're on the home run, and you do that one more thing, guaranteed to stab yourself. Now, why is that? I think I've just done something weird there. I didn't come back through the sequin. That's what I did weird there. Now I'm going to have to trim the end again. Just when you thought we were done, there's a needle rethreading required. Okay, so I'm going to come back down through the sequin, and that will give me the positioning that I want, and I'll put one more stitch in just to be sure. Come back down through the bead and through the sequin, well no, just through the sequin actually, not through the bead, because you want the bead to hold. And then I'll just yeah, take it back to the top and put my little holding stitches in place up here. And then I'll probably hang it to a little loop or something that I can loop it over near the window. I think it will look really nice near the light. So there we go. That is our completed little doily snowflake chain. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that. And that's a 15-minute craft. I mean, we only did a couple together, but yeah, I'd say probably half an hour and you'd have a beautiful little chain of snowflakes. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you back hopefully tomorrow for another craft. Thanks everyone. Bye.